All right, now let's get on to our last or second to last section of today's webinar, and we're going to talk about the new stuff. Just a couple of days ago, or was it yesterday, right? We released version 12.9, right? Too much fanfare. And there was it's not going to take me long to show you what the actual change, but it's a really significant change. Anybody that uses IssueTrack is going to see this change, and they may come and ask you about it, right? Anybody that's using IssueTrack, some of our administrators, right? The people listening to this webinar. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring up any one issue like this one, and you can see that we've taken all of the fields, right? Lined them up and pushed them against that left margin. And this is a real change to the IssueTrack interface. I'm used to look, it only took me about 5 minutes to get used to looking at it this way because it's very pleasing to the eye, I think. And things just line up better. So even though it's going to affect everybody that uses IssueTrack, or it does, it's not that monumental of a change that your users can't get used to it quickly. All right. But you may get questions about this. You may, if somebody asks you if you can set it back the other way, no, this is a permanent change, hard-coded to IssueTrack's interface. Now, we've also changed the search issues page the same way. We've taken the fields, lined them up, pushed them against that left margin just for a little bit better look. And if you remember the reason we made this change, if you remember last month, and if you don't, you can go back and listen, right? If you remember last month, we talked about the menuing changes, or Dan talked about the menuing changes that are coming to IssueTrack. So this is in preparation for those menuing changes that we're going to make later this year. All right, now that's what's new in 12.9, and I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't give you guys the resources about what I just talked about. All right, so pay no attention to the cat there. I want everybody to go to IssueTrack.com when you have time. And to see the stuff that's in 12.9, you can go to the What's New page on IssueTrack.com. And we've got a nice page designed by our own Andrew Gerasi, who was listening. I don't know if he still is. I hope he still is. Looks great, right? Doesn't this look nice? And you can see we talked about 12.8 because we have a lot of folks that have had questions about 12.8. And at the bottom of the page here, here's the stuff about 12.9. Now I know some of my customers, some folks are going to ask me about release notes, right? They want it in release note format. They want to see the details and every little bit. And for those folks, they can go to the Help Center and look up release.
You go to the right ball. There's a button that says release notes.
Oh, that's right. I keep on forgetting we've got that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to blame that one on Andrew. There we go. And you can see there's the release notes in full format if you want to read all the gory details without all of our nice formatting in there.
There's a lot under the hood in this release. There's a lot of things under the hood that it's not going to show up to users, but there's a lot of things that have changed, and that's been true for the last several releases, that there's a lot under the hood that's being built out. One thing too on that was interesting on the issue page when you showed that, Paul, is the headers that we use. They've been bolded more. We've tried to make more emphasis on them so that when you go back and take a look at one of those issues, you'll see those headers have become more bold and more in a different font than what we've been using for the rest of the page. So it makes them stand out better.
They really do jump.
I thought it was a good change on that.
It makes the section headers really do their job, right? That's the job of the section header, is to cut up the page so that when I'm looking at this section, I know it's supporting info, right? Well, now it's telling you, it's yelling that at you now, right? So you have no choice. Your eye is drawn right to that section header, or all of the section headers. All right, I think that's Paul, what's new section.
Yes, so I'd like to address a couple of questions that came across.
Sure, what have you got?
So Ellen was asking, how does she see the webinar after this is done? I'd like you to go to the IssueTrack.com page and actually show her where that is.
You know, I'm glad she asked. I'm glad. So let me go back to IssueTrack.com. You guys want me to type it again? I can, but here you go, IssueTrack.com. And what you're going to do is go to the resources and you're going to go to on-demand webinars. Does everybody see that?
Yep.
And you can see here's every single one of them. So if you really want to hear mine and Mike's and Tony's voice,
And I'll be in there now. So
that's right.
So this is where you can find the webinars if you want to go back and watch this one. In a few days, it'll probably be published. Also, we had another question from Tammy. I don't know if you want to address that.
Before you get to Tammy, I want to mention one thing about the webinars. When you go to these sections, you'll notice they're in parts. Andrew has taken a great job with this and taking these big webinars and parsing them down to the smaller segments. So you don't have to listen to the entire hour and a half on a webinar. You can go in there and just pick one of the smaller sections that we have, because generally it's 3 sections for every webinar.
For example, we if you don't care about the new capabilities that were released in May of last year because you're already using them, right? You already know what those are. Then you get on and listen to the other 2 parts.
And the other thing is, like, if you scroll down a little bit further, back when we first started doing these, you see here there's an administrator training, an agent training, and a user training webinar. Those were designed to give people kind of like a training view that they could be useful. Tammy says she's new to IssueTrack. So these may be good ones to go into where she can go ahead and look at. But go ahead now and address Tammy's question. And what was it, Patrick?
So I know Mike showed the issue hub and it's very powerful, shows a lot of data. She's asking how to change the default tab.
Patrick, what's the answer to that right now?
I know it's either available now or it's coming soon.
It's coming, and
it's coming soon.
Paul, why don't you show us the roadmap so that you can kind of answer her properly?
So how do Mike and I know that it's coming soon, but Patrick doesn't really realize that, right? That's the reason. How do we know? How do Mike and I know that, right? Well, Patrick hasn't looked at the roadmap like Mike and I have, right? So let me take this back to IssueTrack.com.
Yeah. Well, y'all are old school.
Just go to the bottom of the page
and scroll right to the bottom of the page, and there's our roadmap.
Yeah. So go to resources and then go right to roadmap at the bottom of the page. Is the easiest way to do it.
That's the way I think it is too.
Or you get like Patrick, he goes to GitHub and finds things out. So things that have already been completed are checked. And then things like are coming soon or in March. And I believe the ability
right there to assist admins to set a default tab
is coming soon. We didn't put it in the original submission of Issue Hub, but we have listened to feedback. And that was one of the pieces of feedback we received, and one we've decided to address. Should be what, end of this month or 1st of February. I don't like to put dates on things, but we expect it to ship in March, and Dan really likes keeping to the schedule.
If you've been looking at those alpha builds that we have kind of privy to, Mike, the super secret stuff that we're not supposed to talk about, especially in a webinar, right? But really interesting stuff coming on the Issue Hub, especially that default tab, the way we did it. So I'm really excited. So we can get it out and start talking about that.
Are there any other questions? There's a couple more messages in here. Let's see, what else is there?
Yeah, what we got here?
Like Gino chimed in and put me in my place that we're still developing.
That's right. We got him, Dino.
And Tammy thanked us for the training videos. She's gonna be using those. That's really good.
Very good.
Yeah. We want to thank y'all's participation today. That's for one thing. We've had a few more questions answered, asked today by our attendees, and we really appreciate those. It help us.
We do.
Help us to really engage with you and help you out.
Don't forget, we need to do a quick show and tell. I did promise. Who did I promise? Now I've already forgotten who I promised this to. Ellen. I did promise Ellen that I would do a quick show and tell on the.
Why don't you do that real quick so we can go ahead and get out of here pretty quickly. We don't want to keep everybody.
Let me if you're not interested in the feature, you can certainly drop off now. We're done with the webinar content. We'll do just a quick show and tell here. Let me find an issue that actually has an associated issue on it. Well, this is going to be a minute. I think I've got it in screen text here. Yes. So here's an associated issues field, right? And if I know the other issue that I want to associate, so 1516 and 1515, those two are associated somehow. Like Mike said, we've got a support issue for the web for a web form, and we've got a corp issue, right? Because I'm working on the corp issue, my updates are there. The cloud services folks, we give them new files for the web form. They're looking at the support issue because that's where those are. So all I have to do is click edit. Come in and do a 1515 and click add. There we go. And now the nice thing about this, the real key here, is that when I look at either one of those issues, I can see that it's sort of double indemnity, right? I can see that 1515 is listed on the other one and 1516 is listed on.
Main thing is you have to make sure that associated issues user-defined field is on both custom screens.
Right. And that's why I chose two issues of the same type.
Mhm.
So they had the both screen. And you can see the how that works right there.
Where that is used for, a lot of times is like incidents that are service incidents and change request. Or if you have multiple, like, for example, if you happen to be doing onboarding and you want to do an onboarding issue and you want an equipment request or user access request. So from the onboarding, you want to see those other two issues because you're not limited to just one. You can put a whole list of items on here if you wanted to. If there were 5 issues related to it, you could put them on there. So it's a nice functionality in order to do that. And if you want to do the same thing with linking to a cert, like we did with the corp issue and the support issue, remember, it doesn't have to be an IssueTrack website. It is any website.
Right.
So a lot of times we have customers who use other products besides IssueTrack for things like development. So you may have a request comes through that's a development request and it needs to be referenced. It needs to be created in the other product. Well, it's a web product. So it has a URL. If it has a URL, put it into the URL field that we showed. So it could be 2 different products that's linked together.
Or document deposit repository system.
Exactly right, Tony. Exactly right. We get into that a lot.
Here's one I ran into many years ago, the Kiwi system, right? There's this logging system called Kiwi, and it's all web-based, all web browser driven.
So you just pull the Kiwi URL.
You pull the URL, then you can see the log file that goes with the error, right? So there you go. All right. I hope that answers all the questions about.
Well, we also have one more question from Ellen.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
She's asked, this is a good question. She's asking what the new version will be. Is it going to be 12.10 or 13.0? I know we are skipping the 13.0 and we're going straight to 14.
Straight to 14, but
I couldn't answer whether we're going to have.
That's a question for Dan. The naming of the next version. That's going to be a question for Dan, and I don't think we should even try to answer that.
No, the only thing we could say for certain is going to be 12.10, and that's probably going to be the release for the rest of the March stuff. I think that's about as far as we would be okay to go with from there. From that point forward, it's kind of undetermined, but right now we're going to say 12.10 will be the next one because it follows from 12.9. And after that, we should go to another naming convention. As Patrick said, it potentially could be 14. We're just not sure at this point because that's undetermined.
And maybe we should explain our naming convention. So the first number is a major release, and it's going to have a lot of different functionality. It's probably going to be our new interface. And then the second number is a minor release. And the third number is a patch release where we actually just fix things we found. We try to get those patch releases out as quickly as possible so that things that do arise are handled in timely fashion and not affecting our customers.
Well, Patrick, well, thank you for that. Tony, we're getting late. You want to finish this thing up real quick? Because we're getting closer to 3 o'clock here on the East Coast. So we want to be cognizant of the time we're taking and go ahead and probably wrap this up now.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. And thanks for bringing in Patrick with tech support. It was a nice different perspective and point of view to share with the customers on the webinar. For the customers, we appreciate your time. 2 hours is a big block of time. Just shows the commitment to the product and the company that you all make to us. And we view each and every one of you all as our partner. We didn't get a lot of follow-up items this time, but we certainly always enjoy the engagement. All 4 of us are available offline as well. And until next month, hope everybody's has a great rest of the month.
I think Patrick's one of us now, huh? One of us. One of us.
All right. Y'all take
All right.
care now.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.